Welcome to another episode of It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. I'm Mike Mitchell, Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Salem State, and today's guest, we are very excited to welcome a graduate from the class of 1996, a Salem State legend, taking over as Associate Vice President and Dean of Students. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Shawn Newton. Shawn, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize Legend was part of it, but I truly appreciate it. Salem State's a good place, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you today.
Well, I think, the feeling that folks are excited to have you back on campus is probably an understatement. We're going to get into some of that a little bit later on. But first, for those that are watching that may not know who you are, why don't you take a moment, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about kind of how you ended up as a student at Salem State, and then maybe a little bit of life after that time as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's get started. I'm Shawn Newton, class of '96. Like mentioned, I actually was on a 5-year plan, went to Salem State in 1991 through, actually, it was a special program. I think they call it the Summer Bridge Program now. But at the time that I entered, it was the Alternative for Individual Development. And it was a program run by a gentleman by the name of Arthur T. Gerald Jr. Uh, Grew up in Roxbury, Massachusetts. Parents are from the Caribbean. Went to Metco for 12 years in Wayland, Mass. And after graduation, um, all of my friends got into an HBCU, historically Black College and University down south. And I think my parents at the time, when I was so excited because I got accepted to a university in Atlanta, when I told my parents I was ready to go, they were excited, but they asked me a bunch of questions that I wasn't really ready for, like how I was going to pay for things, how I was going to take care of myself. And I didn't have the answers right away. And so an advice that they gave was, try somewhere local for one semester just to see if you can get it. And if you like it, we have our support 100% to go anywhere you want. And actually, when I started the program, um, didn't think that I was going to like it. I knew Dean Gerald because he was also associate pastor at a church that I was going to in Boston called 12th Baptist Church. And someone at the church said, uh, "Hey, I know a guy who's a dean at a college. You should go talk to him." And and that's what I did. And he said, "Hey, let's have an interview on Monday. I want to look over your application, but if things go well, classes start in 2 weeks. Are you ready?" And of course, I wasn't ready because it was the summertime. But ever since classes started in that summer of 1991, I never left. And so that's kind of how I ended up at Salem State. I never left because I enjoyed it. Met a lot of friends and lifelong friends who I'm still connected with to this day.
And so obviously, you graduate in 96, and then professional life comes in now, and you are taking on some various roles at the university. And then we know there were some other stops along the way, Suffolk and Newton Consultancy. Can you talk a little bit about the work you've been doing, why it's a passion for you, and then kind of what led to this role that you're starting next week, or excuse me, this week here at the college?
Yeah. So I think, when I was a student, I was very involved. There was so many folks on campus who said, "Get involved, do things, follow your passion and dreams," and it was all exciting. And my involvement in school kind of led me to the interest of wanting to work with students. Um, Literally, I think shortly after I graduated, there was a job opportunity to work with the person who got me to go into school years before. It was with Arthur T. Gerald Jr. to work in trio programs. And so I did that for a couple of years. And as opportunities opened up at the university, I kept taking advantage of them and learning from people who were my supervisors, but ultimately, my mentor at the same time. Uh, and so I would work with people like Arthur Gerald or Gwen Roseman or Lee Brassois, Nate Bryant. And it's kind of come full circle, working with all the faculty and staff. And so I worked in a variety of student-facing departments like diversity and multicultural affairs, residence life, trio programs, and the like. And ultimately, I think at the end of that segment, I became assistant dean of students, where I did that for several years before taking on a leadership opportunity at Suffolk University in Boston. My portfolio grew pretty significantly at that point, helping to manage the division of student affairs over there. Um, and I don't know, at some point I had, during my entire professional career, people would on occasion give me a call and say, hey, I saw you provide this workshop in diversity. Do you know anybody else who could do it the way you did it? Or can you give me advice on how I can provide leadership in the Division of Student Affairs? And I think it only took hearing that 5,000 times before I said to myself, I wonder if you can make a living doing that. Yes, working for a college or university, but maybe even for myself. And so for the last 2 years, opened a consulting business with my wife, actually, and who I met at Salem, and kind of just followed my dream, and it was going well. I can't say that when I saw the opportunity back at Salem to come back and literally do what I'm doing as a consultant, be right in the same neighborhood, I just couldn't miss out on that opportunity, and I wanted to work really hard to make sure that my colleagues and students feel like I was the best person for the job. And so I'm looking forward to, hit the ground running all over again and just re-immersing myself with the Salem State community.
And one of the things that I admire most about you, Shawn, is that you're fully embedded in this community. You and Michelle both came here as college students, but you live here in town. Your kids are going to school here, or they went to school here. But in addition to all this professional work, I mean, you're in it, right? Like you were, chair of the City of Salem Race Equity Task Force, and you've been so embedded in this community. And I'm just curious, what is it, um, about maybe Salem specifically, or the work that you do, or it seems like it's always been a real passion for you for a long time.
Yeah, Salem has a lot of really good people. From the moment that I stepped foot up here, I grew up in Roxbury, Massachusetts, and in fact, there was a good number of people who attended Salem State who was from the Boston or surrounding areas, and so that community feel of knowing people, or you see them in other locations outside the university, really resonated with me. And I just love people and love working with folks, and so um, Salem, the city of Salem grew on me. The city of and Salem State did as well. Salem is one of those towns where you walk down the street or you're in a supermarket, you can run into the mayor and she knows you by name. You can go to a random meeting somewhere and you run in to a state representative or a senator and they might know your name, or at least familiar with the community that you live in. And that's kind of what makes it sound special. It's not a super big city, it's not a town, but it's somewhere, has that nice soft spot in between. And I can't see how anyone could not enjoy that. Uh, I embrace Salem. Salem embraced me back, and so getting involved, like you said, like you mentioned, my kids went to school here. I often felt like, yeah, I have to invest in the school system. So, as much as I can, attend things that relate to that. Or if the universities has a broad footprint in the city of Salem or the North Shore, yeah, I'd like to get involved to help make the spaces around me a better place. So,
And so now you're back. You're working on campus again, assuming the role as associate vice president, dean of students. I'm curious though. I mean, it's been probably 25 years or so since you graduated, and even your time as a student. Obviously, the campus has changed quite a bit since you first came here.
yeah.
Do you have a particular fond memory from either your time as a student or a professional, or even now? Because obviously, you're still continuing to come to things like events and the series and things like that. So I'm just curious if you have a memory from your time here that stands out to you.
Ooh. let me see if I can remember one that I could talk about. Uh, I was a good kid in school. I think there's so many. The other day, I came onto campus to visit with a colleague, and couldn't help but walk around to see the change. Anytime I see someone from off campus, they say, "Shawn, I drove by Salem and it looks so different." Salem State grew in many positive ways, which I really like. I think, during my time here, you know, probably my fondest memory is just the friends that I didn't realize would become lifelong friends. Or whenever we had a speaker series, the university did a really great job at connecting student leaders to these speakers, where you had private meetings with them. I remember speaking with some influential people, whether it was Maya Angelou or Colin Powell or one of the presidents of the United States that came. Having the opportunity to be in the same room and ask them questions was an awesome opportunity. Um, and so it's hard to pinpoint any one specific thing, but probably just kind of connecting with friends and the opportunities that was afforded to me as a student.
And now, as we're looking at you coming into this role, and now you're going to play such an influential role in so many lives of young student leaders that are going to be here now in the Division of Student Affairs and beyond here at the school. Um, what do you think would be a piece of advice you would give one of these student leaders? If you could talk to yourself 25 years ago, what would you say? Whether it's professional, as you're pursuing next steps in life, anything like that.
Yeah, um, definitely follow your dreams. Um, do your best and try hard. I once learned this quote, and it said something like, "If it's meant to be, it's up to me." So I like to tell students, if it's meant to be true, it's up to you. Um, Nothing is handed to you just because it's more than showing up. It's taking advantage of the opportunity itself. I think another good quote that I had, it's actually from Bruce Lee. He said, "Life itself is a teacher, and you're in a state of constant learning." Um, if I were to rewind, I'm not sure I would change anything except for making sure I don't hold back on what I feel success should be. Success is what you make it. Um, Maybe I'd go back and do things differently, like make my bed. Uh, like, because like some of you may have seen that quote. Making your bed is like the first accomplishment of the day, and it took me several years to just not get up in my bed and walk along and go about my business. But when you make your bed, or you organize yourself every day, it's the start of a new day of many other smaller successes to come. And so, you know, just do your best and try hard. It's a really hard lesson to learn, you know, down the road later. But and the other thing is surround yourself with mentors. You have to surround yourself with people who want you to do well. And I probably could name the amount of mentors that I have on two hands. Uh, and all of them were awesome, from faculty, from administrators, from staff, and even some really good friends, right? So, yeah, surround yourself with good people, and you're not going to go wrong.
And thinking about things from that kind of introspective lens, and knowing you from my time as a student here, knowing that you're involved in the local arts community, spoken word, urban echo, things like that. I'm curious what, if anything, you're listening to, reading these days that's inspiring you, that's giving you, thought provoking ideas, things like that.
Yeah, I actually, well, right now I'm on a big education trip where I really like to help people focus and understand about issues of diversity and racism. It really means a lot to me. By itself, it's a singular topic issue, right? But when you are able to understand oppression, you understand all of those other things in the under the umbrella of diversity, right? So you can understand ageism, heterosexism, racism, and and when you can understand that we don't, um, let's see, all of us have challenges, all of us have privileges. But when you understand that at any given time, any of them can be taken away, you kind of reflect on that experience, and hopefully in turn it makes you a better person. So my main focus for the last several years, even teaching it as a adjunct faculty member, is just helping people understand that work. And I'm not going to lie, when I'm in a room with 10, 20, 30 students, and I'm touching on that topic, for the most part, it's their very first time learning about it. Can't say that I could teach chemistry or biology or any of those classes, but over the years, I immersed myself with understanding and dismantling oppression. And so rather than hold on to that information that I have, try to pass it on. And I think it's helped to make me a better person. And, I see people as human beings, not necessarily what they look like on the outside. And so in doing so, anything that helps to build community, help people become successful, that's my main goal.
Okay. And I think anybody who's had the good fortune to be able to interact with you in any way over your over your life would get that same feeling without a doubt. I know I have. So
Thank you.
really excited that you're going to be taking on this new role in the dean's office. Great to have you back on campus. The last question before we let you go. Um, Obviously, as someone who's been embedded in the Salem and the Salem State community for so long, kind of looking at it at the 30,000-foot level, what does being a Salem State Viking mean to you, and what does it mean to be a part of this community to you?
Yeah. Oh, I think it means everything. Um, our students who come here come with a certain goal in mind, and it's to either, you know, hopefully, first and foremost, is to get a degree, but they come here to learn. Some people might be like me, and they needed an additional year to finish college, and um, Salem State just provides that opportunity. I once heard that no matter how long it takes you to finish your degree, that it's still a degree, and if it took you 10 tries or 10 relationships to fall in love, you still found it. If you bought a house at age 65, it's still a success. I think that when you talk to our Salem State alumni, you'll hear stories like that. Our students persevere and they work really, 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 really hard. Um, and then once they leave here, they go out to do some really good things. Yesterday, I was meeting with someone at a dinner, and they said, I got 2 degrees from one from this university, one from another, but the Salem State one is more valuable to me because although I'm not in that field, I learned a lot by just being on campus, interacting with my faculty members, making friends who are board members now on my business that I run. And that I think you'll hear stories like that over and over again. And to just be a part of that uh, is humbling, it grounds you, and it adds a bit of life and energy into me. When I was a student, there were people who would stop at nothing to make sure that I graduated and that I accomplished my dreams and goals. And what I realize now, those people held similar titles to what I'm having going in. And I don't know, maybe when I was younger, and my apologies to those deans back in the days, but I always thought, like they were the older, wise people. And I never saw myself like that. I just saw myself as a hardworking person. And now I'm coming into this role. I'm like looking at the screen. I have gray hair. I was in school 25 years ago. And so now I guess I'm that old, wise person who hopefully will, surround our students with with love and support and the care that they deserve, so that they can, you know, they're the, they're the people of our future, and so we have to give them 110%, and nothing less. So I'm hoping that I can be able to contribute that, and help advance a university that's already great. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I would say in your case, we're going to place the emphasis on the whys, not so much the old, because you're still a pretty young guy, as far as standards go. So, well, listen, we know it's going to be a very busy next several months and years for you in this new role. We're very excited to have you back on campus. Can't wait to continue working with you in this new capacity. You've been such a connected alum, such an engaged graduate. We're so grateful to you. Obviously, we're wishing you nothing but the best as you pursue this new opportunity. So, want to thank you again for joining us today. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back on the show, a little bit later into the dean's tenure to get an update on how things are going.
Thank you. I'm expecting a lot of great things from our students and campus community, and I'm looking forward to not only working with you, but the rest of our colleagues and students. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Likewise, Shawn. Thank you. And that was another episode of It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. My name is Mike Mitchell, Associate Director for Alumni Relations here at Salem State. And until next time, thanks for watching.